feel like a lot of people want to pin the blame on Robin, and I don't think that she is necessarily innocent in this. I mean, it takes two. Mm-hmm. And so I think in a lot of ways, he's made himself even more villainous, I guess, to kind of take away some of the blame from her. This is just gospel according to Janelle. Like, I don't know. So,
can you be specific about
I just
villainous
feel like
behavior?
I feel like all this stuff with rewriting history and talking about how the kids, and I just feel like he wants the focus on himself, not so much on Robin. Because there is a lot of accusations being thrown around about her.
What accusations?
That she broke up the family, that she never wanted the plural family. And I don't think so. In the very beginning, she was very much part of what we were trying to build.
So you think he's running an interference to protect her?
Welcome to Chroma Celebs. I'm Rose, bringing you the latest shocking updates on Sister Wives. Unexpected twists, emotional moments, and unbelievable drama. Stay tuned till the end. The Sister Wives saga has long been one of the most compelling stories in reality television. At its heart is the tangled web of relationships that once connected Kody Brown to his 4 wives, Mary, Janelle, Christine, and Robin. But as time passed, the cracks widened, and now the very fabric that once held the Brown family together has nearly disintegrated. One of the most emotional and complex relationships to survive the unraveling is the one between Kody and Janelle Brown. Though their spiritual marriage ended and they've since taken separate paths, Janelle's insistence on maintaining a cordial, perhaps even friendly relationship with Kody raises eyebrows for many fans and critics alike. At first glance, it may seem admirable, 2 people mature enough to separate and still remain civil. But the deeper you look, the more problematic it becomes. Janelle, who has undergone a visible transformation since her split from Kody, is blooming in new ways, physically, emotionally, and spiritually. She appears stronger, more confident, and finally free to live life on her own terms. So the question remains, why is she even considering holding on to a friendship with Kody? And more importantly, why might that be a mistake? To understand this, one has to consider the history that binds them. Janelle was Kody's second wife, joining the plural marriage in 1993. Their union wasn't rooted in romance, but rather in compatibility, practicality, and shared vision. While Mary and Kody had passion and Christine later became the nurturer, Janelle was the quiet engine of the family, focused on raising children, maintaining stability, and often the one who brought in most of the income. For decades, she tolerated being emotionally sidelined, justifying it as part of the plural marriage dynamic. But it wasn't until recent years, especially after Christine left in 2021, that the layers began to peel off and the real picture emerged. As the family unit fractured and the cameras caught raw, uncomfortable moments, viewers saw the emotional neglect that Janelle had silently endured for years. Kody's growing favoritism toward Robin, his increasingly authoritarian demeanor, and his tendency to gaslight the other wives became clear to the public. Janelle, long perceived as the most easygoing and resilient, found herself questioning the very foundation of her marriage. In one of the most talked-about scenes of the series, Janelle confronted Kody with a mixture of heartbreak and frustration. Her voice trembled, but her words were firm. She didn't feel loved. It was a seismic moment. For someone who had always portrayed herself as independent and not needy, to admit that she too craved love, intimacy, and respect revealed just how deep the wounds had become. That confession marked a turning point, not just for her, but for viewers who had long underestimated her emotional investment. Despite all this, Janelle still occasionally speaks about maintaining some level of connection with Kody. Whether it's for the sake of the children they share or simply out of nostalgia for the life they built, the inclination is understandable. But it's not healthy, not for her, and not for the progress she's made. Holding on to a friendship with someone who contributed to your emotional suppression isn't maturity. Sometimes it's a form of self-betrayal. Janelle's post-split journey has been nothing short of inspiring. She's stepped into a phase of life where she's putting herself first, something that was rare in her plural marriage. From embracing her body, adopting a healthier lifestyle, traveling, to spending quality time with her children and even exploring entrepreneurship, Janelle's glow-up is real. But re-establishing a friendship with Kody risks backsliding into old patterns. When you look at Kody Brown today, you don't see a man who has taken accountability for his actions. Instead, you see someone who continues to paint himself as the victim, blaming the collapse of his family on disobedient wives rather than his own inconsistencies. He's doubled down on his commitment to Robin while barely showing remorse for the emotional wreckage left behind. Kody has failed to demonstrate any real change or introspection, so what kind of friendship could he possibly offer Janelle? It's also important to remember that Kody hasn't shown Janelle the respect a friend deserves. Friendship, by its very definition, is built on mutual respect, trust, and care. But time and again, Kody has dismissed Janelle's feelings, questioned her loyalty, and used manipulative language to get his way. Whether it was about enforcing COVID rules in a way that disproportionately favored Robin's household, or accusing Janelle of being too aligned with Christine, his actions were far from friendly. Why should Janelle pretend that the relationship is now magically safe, just because the marriage has ended? This notion of preserving a friendly relationship also carries another risk. It sends a confusing message to her children. The Brown children are not blind to what has happened between their parents. In fact, many of them have openly voiced their support for Christine and Janelle while criticizing Kody's behavior. If Janelle continues to maintain a close or friendly rapport with him, it could make her seem complicit in normalizing toxic dynamics. It's a subtle but significant form of gaslighting, not only to herself but to the young adults who look to her as a model of strength and authenticity. Then there's the risk of emotional manipulation. Kody, whether he realizes it or not, has a history of using emotional leverage to get what he wants. As long as Janelle keeps the door open for a friendship, she is leaving herself vulnerable to being pulled back into a cycle of control. The more distance she puts between them, the more empowered she becomes to see things clearly and make decisions from a place of strength, not sentimentality. One cannot ignore the optics of the situation either. Janelle's public image has improved dramatically since she split from Kody. She is now seen as a strong, empowered woman who is reclaiming her life. A friendship with Kody might muddy that narrative. Viewers may begin to question whether she's truly moved on, or if she's still clinging to remnants of a failed marriage. In a world where perception often shapes reality, this is no small matter. Furthermore, there's the looming specter of the show itself. Sister Wives has always thrived on tension, drama, and reconciliation arcs. Producers may be subtly encouraging Janelle to stay in touch with Kody for storyline purposes. But Janelle has to ask herself, at what cost? Is it worth sacrificing her peace, her growth, and her healing just to maintain a connection for the cameras? The line between authenticity and performance becomes increasingly blurred in reality television, and it's vital that she stays grounded in her truth. There's also a gendered expectation at play here. Society often pressures women to be the bigger person, to forgive, to be civil for the sake of harmony. But this cultural narrative can be suffocating. It assumes that women must always maintain grace in the face of betrayal, that they should never sever ties too harshly, lest they be seen as bitter or vengeful. Janelle owes it to herself to reject that outdated notion. She doesn't have to remain friends with Kody just to prove she's mature or emotionally evolved. Sometimes, the most mature thing you can do is walk away without looking back. It's also worth acknowledging that friendships formed after a breakup are rarely equal. One party often holds on tighter, hoping for closure, validation, or a chance to rekindle what was lost. Even if Janelle believes her intentions are pure, there's always the risk that Kody will interpret her friendship as a lingering affection, or worse, an invitation to meddle in her life. Given his history of entitlement and control, it's unlikely he'll respect her boundaries in a friendship any more than he did in their marriage. Janelle's energy would be far better spent deepening the relationships that truly nourish her. Her bond with Christine, for instance, has blossomed into something beautiful, a testament to shared pain, mutual support, and sisterhood. Her children, too, are at pivotal stages in their lives and could benefit greatly from her full, undivided presence. There's also the possibility of new love on the horizon. Whether or not she wants another romantic relationship, she deserves the space to explore that without the ghost of Kody looming in the background. Moreover, the process of detaching from a long-term partner is a grieving process. It involves letting go of not just the person but the dreams, the identity, and the future you envisioned with them. By staying friends, Janelle risks delaying that process. She keeps the wound open, never allowing it to fully scar. Emotional healing requires clean breaks, not half-hearted ties that pull you back into a place of confusion and pain. Perhaps the most powerful reason Janelle should not maintain a friendship with Kody is that she has already proven she doesn't need him. For years, she was the backbone of the family, the silent warrior who carried burdens without complaint. Now she has stepped into the light, her light. She has every reason to protect that light fiercely, without apology or compromise. Re-establishing any kind of connection with Kody would dim it if only slightly, and she's come too far for that. In the end, Janelle's journey is hers alone. She gets to decide what kind of relationship, if any, she wants with Kody. But the evidence, both historical and emotional, suggests that keeping a friendship would do more harm than good. The bravest thing she can do now is not to forgive or forget, but to choose herself fully. Not out of bitterness, but out of a deep, unshakable self-love. As fans continue to follow her evolution, one can only hope that Janelle recognizes the strength she possesses and the value of the new life she's creating. She doesn't need to look backward to prove anything to anyone. The future is hers to shape, free of old entanglements and worn-out narratives. And perhaps, just perhaps, that future is one where she no longer feels the need to keep Kody in her life, not even as a friend. When the final credits rolled on Season 19 of Sister Wives, fans were left with a mixture of shock, relief, and hope. Christine Brown, once the third wife in Kody Brown's controversial plural marriage, had already started rewriting the rules of her life by the time the cameras shut off. But what truly unfolded after the end of Season 19 was something far greater than a simple chapter close. It was a powerful metamorphosis. Christine didn't just leave Kody Brown. She left behind years of spiritual suppression, emotional struggle, and the exhausting burden of trying to hold together a family built on increasingly shaky ground. From the moment Christine announced her departure from the polygamous lifestyle, she became a lightning rod for attention. Viewers celebrated her choice, many seeing her as a symbol of reclaiming agency and self-worth. Still, the world she stepped into post-Season 19 was anything but simple. The reality of divorce, family dynamics, the future of the show, and even the pursuit of new love painted a complex but invigorating picture of a woman coming into her own. One of the most striking changes in Christine's life after Sister Wives Season 19 was her return to authenticity. She had spent decades accommodating Kody's vision, suppressing her own needs to maintain a semblance of peace in a house that rarely knew balance. Her split didn't just represent the end of a marriage, it was a reclamation of her voice. In interviews and on social media, Christine began speaking with a candor that fans had never seen before. She no longer filtered her experiences through the lens of loyalty to the family. Instead, she began framing her story through the lens of truth. And that shift mattered. Christine's voice grew louder, not in volume, but in impact. She spoke about her loneliness in the marriage, her desire to be seen, and how devastating it was to feel like she had to compete for her husband's affection. Viewers who had once seen her as the quirky, bubbly wife now recognized her as one of the most emotionally complex women on the show. With every post, interview, and appearance, she peeled back the layers of what it truly meant to survive emotional neglect and come out on the other side radiant and empowered. After Season 19, Christine's relationship with her children became even more central to her identity. For years, she had worried that breaking up the family would scar her kids. But in truth, the opposite happened. Her children flourished as they watched their mother thrive. Her daughter Michaelty praised her courage. Isabel, who had long felt overlooked by her father, found solace in her mother's fierce presence. The maternal bond that had always defined Christine only deepened, becoming a healing force not just for her children, but for Christine herself. What made Christine's post-Season 19 evolution especially compelling was her refusal to play the role of the bitter ex-wife. She never needed to drag Kody through the mud because his actions had already done that job. Instead, she focused on building her own happiness, allowing her journey to speak for itself. There was grace in her distance from the drama. Where other former wives of Kody still seemed entangled in old dynamics, Christine's energy had shifted entirely. She was moving forward, not looking back. Christine also channeled her newfound strength into entrepreneurship and public speaking. With a loyal fan base cheering her on, she launched new ventures including health and wellness initiatives, brand partnerships, and even motivational talks aimed at empowering women. Drawing from her own experiences, Christine encouraged others to step into their worth and walk away from situations that no longer served them. Her story resonated particularly with women who had spent years silencing themselves in the name of family, tradition, or obligation. Christine had been there, and now she was proof that there was life, love, and liberation on the other side. Her home life also changed dramatically. No longer confined to the strict patriarchal structure of plural marriage, Christine cultivated a space that reflected her personality, vibrant, open, and joyful. Her new home was not just a physical location, it was a sanctuary. Family dinners were no longer tense affairs dominated by hierarchy and tension. Instead, they were lively, heartfelt gatherings filled with laughter, stories, and unconditional love. In this space, Christine could finally be the woman she had always wanted to be, playful, present, and unafraid. What happened to Christine Brown after Sister Wives Season 19 was nothing short of extraordinary. She left a world where her value was measured by compliance and stepped into one where her worth was defined by self-love. She transformed heartbreak into power, pain into purpose. She didn't just survive her past, she transcended it. Christine's relationship with the other former sister wives also shifted. Her bond with Janelle deepened, united by shared struggle and mutual respect. They leaned on each other not out of necessity but out of genuine friendship. With Mary, things remained more distant, and with Robin, unsurprisingly, there was no reconnect. But Christine no longer needed everyone to like her or even understand her. She had made peace with being misunderstood if it meant finally being free. As for her thoughts on the institution of polygamy, Christine didn't mince words. In several post-show appearances, she acknowledged that while she once believed in the lifestyle, she no longer saw it as viable or healthy. Her change in belief wasn't rooted in resentment, but in reality. Her lived experience had shown her the imbalance and emotional fallout that often accompanied plural marriage. It was a system built to serve the needs of one man, often at the expense of the women involved. Christine's departure wasn't just from Kody, it was from a worldview that no longer aligned with her spirit. Fans marveled at her transformation. Every new photo, every public appearance, every heartfelt update served as a reminder that reinvention was possible. Christine Brown had once been the woman who waited for love, for validation, for a place in a man's crowded heart. Now she was the woman who chose. She chose herself. And that choice changed everything. Even as new rumors swirled about the fate of the show, potential spin-offs, and behind-the-scenes conflicts, Christine remained above the noise. She had nothing left to prove. Her life, filled with love, meaning, and freedom, was the greatest vindication she could offer. In a way, Christine didn't need to be on television anymore to make an impact. Her journey had already etched itself into the hearts of millions. The end of Sister Wives Season 19 wasn't the end of Christine's story, it was the beginning of her real one. A story not shaped by patriarchal expectations or television scripts, but by a woman's deep desire to be seen, heard, and valued. And in choosing that path, Christine Brown didn't just change her own life, she inspired countless others to do the same. The aftermath of Season 19 has proven one undeniable truth. Christine Brown is no longer defined by the role she once played in a fractured family dynamic. She is no longer Kody's third wife. She is no longer a figure caught in the background while others fought for control. She is instead a woman reborn, stronger, wiser, and more unapologetically herself than ever before. Christine's post-show life has become a living blueprint for empowerment. Her happiness is not performative, it is rooted in real, hard-earned transformation. Her smile is no longer just polite, it is genuine, full, and unburdened. She laughs more now. She sleeps better. She speaks freely. These are not small victories, they are monumental ones. And they are hers. In the months and years that followed the close of Season 19, Christine Brown didn't just move on, she moved up. She ascended into a life that fits her better, like a tailored gown after years of wearing hand-me-downs. And for those who followed her journey, the message is clear: when you choose freedom, joy follows.